but Shrutik isn't here yet.
Okay, now I'm seeing the live stream.
You are. Hey, welcome. All right, folks, welcome once again to the Saturday paper reading, except that today is unusual. We won't be having a paper reading. We'll instead have all the teams, formations, and so forth. I wanted to get everyone ready for the boot camp. And the main item today is a project presentation. There's an internship project that Shrutik did. Shrutik is a first-year undergraduate who came here to do a summer internship. He did a very good job. His task, initially I thought, he's a first-year undergraduate. He's going into sophomore year. Obviously, we should give him a simple task, but he far exceeded my expectations. He not only did the project successfully, he did it almost independently, without too much guidance from me, just needed enough hints and he got going. He used, his problem definition was, which I thought would be fun, is to be able to distinguish between three kinds of sounds, to be able to tell whether a sound was a barking dog, or it was a bird's chirp, or it was basically noise or a car going by or things like that, or the rustling of the leaves. So he started out initially, got certain level of accuracy in the first week or so, which wasn't quite good. But the most remarkable thing is he persisted at it, and gradually he increased the accuracy to the high 90s of his classifier. He had to write a classifier. Not only did he do that classifier using one approach, he did the classifier using multiple approaches. He first rendered the audio files into spectrograms, as you would expect. Then he used a transformer, a vision transformer, to write the classifier all on his own. He didn't just use an off-the-shelf audio classifier to do that. He used that. Then once he had successfully finished that, he realized all the lessons that you learn when you do a project, namely, it isn't just about the models you use. A lot has to do with whether your hardware is right or not, whether the data set is good or not. And along the way, he had a lot of struggles with the data set. He put in a Herculean effort to go get and gather the right kind of data set from various sources. The end result was two assets. He ended up creating a very good data set on this topic. And the second thing he did is he created a very successful model. That model not only did well, it actually beat, as a comparison, as a benchmark, we asked him to compare it to PyTorch's audio library, PyAudio. And to his great credit, Shrutik managed to beat PyAudio. His model did a much better classifier than PyAudio does out of the box for this particular problem. And that all of this put together is a hallmark of a very successful project that Shrutik did. And once again, to his great credit, he's just a sophomore entering into, he's just becoming a sophomore now. He has been an undergraduate first year. He came here with practically no knowledge. In fact, what is even more remarkable is before the internship, he had never encountered data science. So when he came here, he quite literally sat down and in a marathon session under the guidance of his uncle, Saurabh, he sat down and watched all the videos of ML 100 and 200 in a long marathon session that took lots of notes, learned a lot of things from that. And after that, he dived right into the project and did this project with great persistence, resourcefulness, and success. So obviously, one of the things that I'm really proud of this summer is the sheer quality of internships that people have done. A lot of wonderful internships happen. In passing, I will just mention a few of the other internships that happened. Sonal did an internship of talking to documents. It was literally one of the projects that you will do. By the way, both this Dogs Bark project and a project that Sonal has done and the part that Anas has done, they were actually intended for this boot camp. They were intended for people with to be done as teams and people with significant programming background and maturity. But because they were single-handedly dedicated to the internship, some of the projects from the boot camp I had given it to folks to do on their own. And so one of the projects that is actually a part of your internship is called Eloquent Conversation with Documents. So what Sonal did is she took a whole lot of documents in various formats, whether it is PDF or text or Word or this or that, and she created a conversational interface, and which a lot of people are doing. But she did a really good job of putting together the end-to-end project, getting the document pipeline in place, getting it. So not just doing a small proof of concept, but doing the whole thing end-to-end. Again, to her great credit. The third project, which was Kashish and Patrick and yeah, many people put together here, Anas and Athira and a few others did a massive project, which was to find, to listen to a hospital conversation, a consult between a physician and a patient. And from that to infer the diagnosis codes, the diagnosis to infer the procedures the physician would probably do, to convert it into the standard medical format, the SOAP format, subjective, objective, assessment, and plan of action, to do all of that. And obviously that is work in progress, but a very successful project that the team put together. And when they put it together, it wasn't that they just invoked well-known transformer APIs on the internet. They struggled quite a bit in the data gathering, and asked for tremendous effort to take it to production, created an entire microservices there. Kashish and Athira and Patrick, they put a tremendous amount of energy into creating the AI models properly. Right? It needed multifaceted talent. Anas brought talent from his data engineering, quite a lot, and did that. Patrick, obviously being a physician, brought a lot of medical knowledge. And obviously, I think in our team, nobody is as good at prompt engineering, as absolutely superhuman at prompt engineering as Patrick is. It's just amazing how well he can craft specific prompts, especially in the medical domain, and do things. Not to mention the fact that he's another person who's super, super excited about the large language models and transformers. And now he's the proud owner, as you know, of a really nice water-cooled little machine of his own on which he trains stuff. And then Kashish came as a person who had a very little background from a practical industrial experience perspective. And likewise, Athira, and both of them, they put in fairly superhuman effort. I'm really impressed with the amount of dedication and sincerity, both of them quietly, without fuss, without needing any supervision at all. Kashish and Athira brought the sheer tremendous hard work. I could quietly just see the results of that hard work every time I interacted with them. And it was just amazing how much they persisted and made the entire medical project successful. That medical project, by the way, what it means is, the good news is that they did an exceptionally good internship. Now, the part that for most of you would be interesting is, now that whole medical project is part of your boot camp. It was part of the boot camp, but now I've expanded the scope of it. In other words, initially I'd intended it to be of, say, let's a given size, and now that project, because we discovered many interesting things you could do along the way. The size of the project is twice that now. It's one of the projects that you will do. So again, a very successful project. Another very good internship that someone did, and I'm just enumerating the internships done this summer as the summer comes to a close, was, and by the way, along that, there is Hamad. Hamad is another brilliant young fellow who single-handedly took, amongst his projects, is couple of machine learning projects, and many other interesting things he did. But amongst the things he did, he, as you know, support vectors has been pretty much under-resourced, and it runs on a lot of volunteer help. Hamad jumped in and he made a huge contribution in setting up the network here. He got he literally got all the wiring for 10G. As you know, support vectors now has a 40G internet connection, 40 gigabit internet connection to every room. There are at least 4, typically 8 independent fibers going to each of the meeting rooms. So when you do your internship, you'll have access to that 40 gig network. That 40 gig network spills into the data center room. During the pandemic, some of it had gotten neglected. Hamad sat down and he pretty much rewired the whole place and made sure that the routers were properly working and everything was properly assigned and so on and so forth. The whole thing is humming along. We also got our storage area network, NAS, going. And the NAS is, and this is again, for those of you who are here, you'll appreciate this. As you do the boot camp, you will have absolutely no scarcity of disk space. Our NAS is now running at close to 2, it is running at 200 terabytes as of this moment. So you have 200 terabytes of official space on the NAS itself, and you have another about 100 terabytes of space on secondary devices on premise. So networking is super fast now, and thanks to Sukhpal, who again came and set up the firewall. And obviously, Sukhpal is great at building high quality machines, very, very good AI servers. We now have a dedicated firewall. This too happened this summer, and I consider it part of the overall summer internship initiative. Sukhpal is again a physician who has been a surgeon for a long time and is a wonderful, wonderful healthcare informatics guru, and along with Patrick. So anyone of you who need your tummy cut in a hurry, Sukhpal, from what I understand, is ready with his surgeon's knives. You can immediately shorten your tummy. Jokes. So, but he's also terribly good with computers. In fact, a lot of, at least 5 different computers that come into existence, servers that have come into existence this summer at Support Vectors, all for the purpose of this upcoming bootcamp. Sukhpal contributed. He also took care of the firewall and the other aspects of it. So it has been all a wonderful thing. Lastly, I must mention about Anas. Anas did, he took part in a Kaggle competition, and I believe he was in the leaderboard, though he didn't come first. He was second or something like that, or somewhere in the top 10. I forget what his latest rank was by the time he won. He started out with a very interesting problem, multimodal AI learning problem. What was amazing about Anas was his sheer persistence, the way he just sat down there and kept on at it. He brought in squeeze formers and he brought in a transducer and so on and so forth. He had all the right ideas, and the data he started looking into. At the end of it, the person who got the first prize used exactly the approach that Anas used. So Anas was completely on the right track. As you know, in these leaderboards, people win or lose by decimal points, by the tiniest little bit. So the person who edged ahead of him and won the first prize used exactly his approach, but from what I understand, did a little bit more data manipulation and data preparation than Anas got time to. Anas got into the game a little bit late, but he used exactly the same approach, which was to use a squeeze former, a particular large language model and transformer architecture called the squeeze former. So with the squeeze former, he did an amazing, amazing job. So in sum, I would like to say that in a way, there has been a boot camp in progress throughout the summer with amazing results, absolutely amazing results for all the people who participated. And I must say a great, first of all, a vote of congratulations to all the people who did the summer internships and all these activities during the summer. A tremendous, tremendous amount of work and great success. And in a way, the boot camp is, I look at this boot camp as a successor to the summer internship program at this particular moment. And this internship is going to benefit from all the things that people have. This boot camp is going to benefit from all the fruits of the summer internship program, right? So it's been most wonderful. Now, so the way we would like to do this is today we were going to start with Shrutik's presentation, but Shrutik isn't, for some reason, he seems to be delayed. So I'll instead start with the boot camp. Let me talk about the boot camp. But before I do that, guys, anyone else, did I miss any other project that we did this summer? No. All right, so let's get started. So guys, this boot camp is part of it. It started out in a way, sort of a circular way of teaching that we have. Some people learn from theory first and then do the practicals. Some people learn from practicals and then do the theory. And it has been a conundrum here at Support Vectors, where we emphasize both having strong mathematical and theoretical foundations in AI and having very in-depth experience. Now, both are necessary. See, if you only play with large language models and Python code, you just become a coding junkie. You don't understand why these things work, right? But you still produce exceptionally good results. The trouble is, a lot of those results is just by reading the various social channels, seeing what others are doing, getting inspired by that and doing something in your own. It's a very hacker orientation, hack your way, which is obviously a great and celebrated part in our field. So the other side of that is having very deep theoretical foundations. Not many people understand the subject very deeply, but we do emphasize that you do. But when you do go into the theory, when you go into the research papers and you study it line by line, and by study, I mean study, not just quickly browse through it, not just give it a quick read, but actually study it line by line and understand every word in it, you do get a fairly in-depth sense of the subject. The subject is moving very fast. As you know, there is not a single textbook in the market, not a single textbook in the market that is anywhere close to being considered reasonably up to date. All the textbooks are obsolete. It's just a question of different degrees of obsolescence. Now, obsolescence doesn't mean that they are not useful. They are still great textbooks to read from, to form background on. But having said that, having read through those textbooks, the fact does remain that all that is happening has happened pretty much in the last few months. Right? In fact, more has happened in June, July, August. That is of tremendous relevance than is there in most of the textbooks written on transformers and deep learning in the last few years. The subject is moving that fast. Right? Given the fact that the subject is moving that fast, we have to read a lot of these research papers line by line, which we do. In fact, today was supposed to be another research paper reading, but we are not doing it because I've taken a break. We are going to do project discussions. I noticed there's a hand raised. Shali, would you like to say something?
Yes, Dr. Kumar. So one of the things you mentioned was that this field is moving very quickly. So one of the things that I'm thinking about, and also a lot of people are thinking about, is the fact that a lot of these prompt engineering tools, LangChain, they just distribute the notebook. So it's like you don't even have to code anymore. So one of the things people are asking is that, is this coding ability needed, or is there some new set of skills that are coming into place? Even though engineers are, there are projects where engineers go in and fix that code and rewrite them. I just want to know your thoughts and ideas on where we're headed, in the sense that, engineers don't even need to write the code, but they need to prompt correctly. But also in the prompts, like you need the right data, you need several other things, and different tools work differently, obviously. So I just kind of wanted to get your gauge on where you think this field is headed.
is a great question, Shalini. Let me answer it two ways. See, in software engineering, in computer science, some things last a lot longer than others. So, for example, it is an old piece of wisdom that people learn the hard way, is that data outlives the applications that produce the data. Right? So, for example, long ago when I worked, I had my short stint at NASA, we had data spanning decades, but those applications, the software applications that produce the data quite often would be defunct, but the data remains. So if you look at it, data and manipulating data, storing data, handling data, those are longer lived skills than any one particular software library. Over the years, when I came to graduate school, we did a lot of our programming of what is today called all the statistical models we used to do. Obviously, transformers didn't exist, but all the things like linear regression, etc., as you know, they have a couple of 100 years of history. They existed. We did that in Fortran. Then C and C++, I still remember that C++ you would frown upon and say, will it be fast enough to do our work? Today, nobody asks that question. But even at C, we used to frown upon and think that Fortran is the one way to go. Not many people know that those Fortran libraries, the C libraries, are still underpinning. PyTorch and TensorFlow at foundation are written in C and C++. And they are backed by, and a lot of the things are still backed by Fortran, C, C++. But on top of it, new layers came. Python first came, the SAS and the matplotlibs, and so, I mean, not matplotlib, what is it called? Matlib?
Matplotlib, you said it right.
Yes. So all of those libraries that came, they were actually sitting upon LinPack, LAPACK, BLAS, Atlas, Fortran, and C libraries. Then came R and SAS and Python, and these are all layers on top of those. Increasingly, so that is one aspect to remember, that these languages come and go. The hard work that has been done remains. But more to your question, which is more topical today, people are releasing the code, and a lot of the people who, the hacker community is essentially starting with those notebooks and making adaptations and modifications to it. So what's going to happen to the programming discipline? I believe that we are in the post-LLM world now, which means that all the programming languages would have to be rethought. The fact that today Codex or Copilot and all of these have emerged, and now there is a Llama coder too, have emerged, just goes to show that if large language models can generate most of the code from our English language description, or as somebody aptly put, 2023 is the year when English became a programming language. It asks another question. In the post-LLM world, shouldn't we rethink all programming languages from scratch and come up with AI-aware or LLM-aware or LLM-optimized programming languages? There are efforts, I believe, afoot to do things like that. But having said that, we shouldn't forget that programming became dominant in the field because it was a headache. You had to instruct the computers. The computers were dumb and you had to instruct it in very precise ways. Now, with coming of AI and in such impressive power, that dumbness has been mitigated. It hasn't quite gone, but it has been mitigated. So programming in itself will not be so dominant. What is likely to happen is programming is going to be a part of computer science, which is why I emphasize the theory. See, the math behind computer science, this artificial intelligence is deeper, it's very deep. And so when you make a breakthrough now in your thinking, conceptually, to go from that new neural architecture you thought of to a realization, to an implementation in code will be a shorter path. You don't have to be a programmer with 20 years experience to do it. You can very easily do it. And I believe that is the world we are entering, where all of these things will become much, much easier to implement when you have the idea. However, much of computer science, like every other field is more about thinking and discovery and research. And I think computer science will also become more about thinking and discovery and research. I don't know if that answers your question, Shalini.
It does. Yeah, I think the response you provided was intensely deep, but if you don't mind, I do have a follow-up question as well.
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah. So when you say so, like, for now, we've been looking into Rust programming. People have compared Claude 2 with Llama, with GPT-4. Apparently, GPT-5 is released to some companies. So there is just a variety of people putting in just a variety of programs out there that claim to be doing things, and there are also engineers that are fixing it. So this is kind of where the industry is at right now. But also, I think, we're looking at bigger world problems. I know once you said, GPT-4 can't. I'm not sure if you said it or somebody said it can't solve world hunger or something like that. But are we headed in that direction where, those people didn't have programming abilities, they didn't know how to create apps? Um, uh, do you think we're headed in that direction? Because right now it seems a little murky, because yes, people with engineering degrees are hired into these companies, but also it's people who have actually lived lives, who have ideas. So I hope my question is clear. What I'm saying is that we're
Yes,
bridging.
yes, Shalini. What you're saying is, what exactly is a AI engineer? Is it a person with a traditional software engineering degree? Because a lot of people are now, the whole thing has gotten democratized. A lot more people are able to engage with AI. And I believe that's a good thing. See, computer science, in my view, got hijacked. If you go to the university, you'll realize that at least at the graduate school level, nobody is teaching you programming. It is an implicit thing. They teach you actual computer science subjects, right? You think about the subject like you would think about mechanical engineering or physics or anything else, or mathematics. But when you come into the industry, it was dominated. It became almost synonymous with programmers. And I think it is a good thing that computers are less dumb. So programming, the dominance of programming is fading. Or as somebody aptly put, English has become the programming language. People are, so the democratization of these AI throughout the world is an amazing thing. That's a very positive thing. The second great positive is, let us get back and focus on the theoretical core, the actual deep ideas in the subject. Let it not be about, cuteness of programming languages. Right? We need to rethink the programming languages in the world of LLMs. That will happen. And I believe that programming as a dominant force in computer science will fade. It will become one of the things, when you're a surgeon, you don't make a big deal of using the stethoscope. Yes, you need to learn how to use the stethoscope to listen to people's chest and other things, murmurs, but you don't necessarily make a tremendous deal out of it. A doctor is much more than a guy who can use the stethoscope. Likewise, a computer scientist or an AI engineer should be much more than the guy who can write some code. And on the whole, it's a positive thing. And also the fact that the field is opening up to everyone, because computers are not so dumb anymore. Everybody can talk to them. That's, I think, a very liberating, very, very liberating thing. And it will have, as you said, enormous economic consequences. Now, today, I hear with multiple factors being implicated. For example, there is now fiber optics going to Africa. Like fiber cables taking internet to Africa. But there is a huge resurgence. There's a huge practically boom out there. And programmers are coming up in Nigeria, Nairobi, all of this, Kenya, and all of these countries. They are flush with new generation programmers, and they are able to do programming just as good as the guys sitting here in Silicon Valley. How much more wonderful can it get? That's really a positive thing. And the barrier is becoming lower. Programming languages have gotten easier. Python is dead simple, but now you don't even need that. You can use a large language model to generate Python for you, right? So the world is changing and people are able to use AI. And I would imagine that a lot of new things will happen with these things, with all of this AI now, and solve some of the harder problems. All right, guys. So with that, I will move on to our project. A little bit about the project, guys. The project starts sharply on September 9th at 10 a.m. Right? We won't wait because it's a packed day. It's a really packed day. Now, you can attend it remotely You can attend it in person. The only thing that is needed is that you choose your teams quickly and you start with all the right prerequisites early on, which is, think of today as a soft start for the project. What do I mean by a soft start? You can actually start getting ready, making sure your laptop is in good shape. It has the right libraries, that your team has formed, and you have balanced the team out, made sure that all the skills are present. So I'll talk about the skills needed in the team. So first action item of business, guys, if you haven't formed your team, please do so immediately. And when you form your team, please inform Patrick. Patrick is the one coordinating all the team formations. So please let Patrick know that these are the teams. Now, I have received information on 7 teams. I haven't received the names for those teams. So I came up with some tentative names, which I will show you now on my screen in a moment. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes. So the groups are, these are the groups names, and these are tentative names I gave. I noticed that some of the names have changed now. If you don't name your group, I will end up putting you in a named group. So one of them is Kiosk Theorists. This was Dilip's group. One is Clouds. This is Srinath and Athira's group. I called it, this is tentative. Of course, you can change a group's name. One is Goodfellows, in honor of Jan Goodfellow. So I'll have to remember who are the guys in the Goodfellows, but I think it's just a name at this moment. One was Gradient Descenders. Then one was the Julia set. And one was Thoughtful Robots. So I believe Julia sets got renamed to the Tensor Titans. And they have posted a mascot of a bunch of people wearing astronaut suits.
No, I don't believe that's us. I think, we're with Dilip. So if Dilip called it the Chaos Theorist, then that's the group with me, Maushmi, Kashish.
Oh, Dilip is a new group. No, I'll kick him out. One group cannot be too powerful. No, you have to be aware. Dilip is a champion coder. So your group is already quite strong. I'll have to kick him out. Kick him to another group.
Oh no, we're actually kicking him out. We actually like him.
Yeah, really. We are going to put him in another group. Because see, guys, here's the thing. The groups have to be balanced. Otherwise, you guys will have a tremendous lead over everybody else. What's that? You will take Dilip. Okay. No, you guys are also strong coders. I have to put Dilip in another group. So guys, here's the thing. The teams are very powerful, the ones that are forming. So
you posted. So wait, we can't have Dilip. This is
okay, guys. I'll show you how the teams are looking right now. You can tell me. Patrick, is that list correct?
I think I sent our direct message.
Yeah, you sent it to me on the direct message. Yeah, let me get that. So
I just updated.
You just updated it. Okay.
They posted it to Slack. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. People are still changing their minds.
Oh, people are changing their minds, guys. You have to at some point stop horse trading.
We didn't change your minds. We're thinking about things to do, and you just said that you're kicking Dilip out of our project, and
Okay,
we really like him. This is clinical depression. This is not okay.
Okay, all right. I'll leave Dilip there, but I'll take somebody else out. So group 2 is now called. So group 1 is Sushinda, Mani, and Dhwani, and Arul, and Manish Goba. So you guys are one group. What name would you like to give your group?
Wasserstein. Team Wasserstein.
Wasserstein. Okay, group 1 is the Wasserstein distance. Which one? Would you like to call yourselves the Oppenheimer group? No. Okay, Wasserstein group. So this is made up of Sushinda, Mani, Dhwani, Arul, and Manish. Yes. That's that. And Dilip, Kashish, Anil, Shivani, Arunesh, Mosmi, and Shani. Okay, I'll leave Dilip there. How about this? But I'll have high expectations from the group. This is the Tensor Titans.
Yeah, it's okay. You can have high expectations. We just want to leave Dilip there. Yeah, he's nice.
Okay.
We like him.
Yeah. Oh goodness, that team has become rather heavy with PhDs. All right. Group 3. Qazis, Mustaq and Abdullah Qazi, Dennis, Albert, and Sukhpal Rapal. What would you like to call your group? Should I call you guys the thoughtful robots?
Barbie. Barbie.
No. Name yourself, guys, if any one of you are present. Dennis, Albert, Sukhpal.
That's by accident.
No, none of you are responding. Okay, so I'll call you guys the thoughtful robots. Or should I call you the Terminators?
Vaccinated.
Okay, guys, so moving forward, group 4, Saurabh, Sanjay, Srinath is the clouds group. What did you rename yourself as, Harini?
AI
had-
alchemists.
The what?
The AI alchemists.
Ooh, that's good.
Oh, AI Ultimus.
Yeah, if people can't think of a name, just use ChatGPT.
Ultimus. Okay, what does Ultimus stand for?
It's not alchemists,
Alchemists.
alchemists.
Oh,
Like-
alchemist.
Like early
Alchemist.
chemists.
Okay,
Yeah.
alchemist. That is a good one because in your group you have. Oh, I thought Qazi would name himself the alchemist, but you guys are the AI. Okay, all right. Your team name has changed to AI Alchemist now. And group 5, team 5 is Praveen, Patrick. Oh my goodness, this is another very heavyweight group. Amrit, these are all strong coders. Amrit, what would you like to call your group? Amrit, you're still there? You're on mute. Okay, Patrick, anyone else in this group? Patrick, Praveen, Anas.
Andy's something.
Oh yes, you guys already named your team, right? Andy's Mountains.
No, no. I will give you this.
Okay, you have to give me the corrections now. Group 6. By the way, guys, 7th group. Some of you are in none of the groups at this particular moment. The group 6 is Satyam, Abhijit, Aditya, Farhan, Junaid, Zahir. Oh, this is heavy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it's already capped out. Aditya, what would you like to call your team?
Optimus Prime.
What is that?
Optimus Prime. Transform.
Optimus Prime
Optimus
Transform.
Prime is in, I think.
Okay, Optimus Prime Transformers. And group 7, what would you like to call yourself? Group 7. So group 6, see guys, here's the thing. This is getting a little hardware heavy. 3 people have hardware experience. Satyam, Abhijit, Junaid. They are all network security geniuses here. Farhan, are you here?
Yes, I am, Asu sir.
Yeah, you like your team's name, Optimus Prime Transformers?
Yeah, definitely.
Good, good, good. Oh, by the way, yeah, okay, I'll talk to you in a little bit. It's been a while since we talked. I'll call you. And
I know.
group 7, Prakash, Sachin, Sonal, Shahnawaz, Hamad. This team needs, so Sachin and Sonal and Shahnawaz and Hamad and Prakash. Okay, this is a group 1. Anybody here who can name this team? How about this? I'll call them the chaos theorists or gradient descenders.
Gradient ascender.
Gradient descenders. Okay, guys, and group 8, those of you who remain, who remains, who is not in any one of the groups?
Not sure. I said, Zahir is late Raleigh, so I added him already in group 6. I don't know who else is not in there.
Oh yeah, so one easy way is to just look at the top of the membership list at the top of the LLM and we'll know whoever it is.
Yeah, this is 38 already.
Yeah, but if okay, so nobody, no, a couple of new registrations are coming in, so there are two more. We'll put
You
it.
can just add them, maybe, we can make the groups of 5, groups of 6.
Right. So groups of, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, groups of 6 would be preferable. Let's see, look at the rooms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms obviously are completely ready. I will empty one room there. One room there, 6 rooms, and I'll create another room, 7 room. So
Group 2 lives far from the work factory,
oh, group 2 is all remote, huh?
mostly.
No. Arunesh and Moshmi and Shalini, do you plan to be here? I trust, isn't it?
Yeah, I live in Redwood City, so it's a bit of a drive, but yeah, I plan to make some days and not the others, if that's okay.
Okay. That's right. Okay, so we have about a total 9 rooms we can get ready. So we have space for 9. You guys will have, and so one of the things is, if you have a team, send me your mascots, because I have to print posters for your group and hang it outside your rooms. You will have your own dedicated room for 3 months where you can keep all your stuff. All right, guys, so that is that. So that's one. The other thing is, I'm happy to announce a changing topic. So this is it. I'm just going to move this information here. Let me give this information. If you're seeing my screen, group 1, and let me post it to all of you, so all of you have it in yours. And I'll also post it to the course portal, which is the next announcement I'm going to make. A great progress, guys. We did that. Yeah. Now I have a couple of very important, significant announcements, so don't run away. And group 7. All right. So I'm going to post this to the LLM 2023 LLM. The teams. All right, guys, I've posted the information. Now, coming to the next topic. As you know, our website had gotten hacked. And because it was hacked, we could not access the old, all the quizzes and so on and so forth. So I'm happy to announce 2 things. First of all, our old website has been recovered. It is back online. But at this moment, the old website is completely internal. So I believe it is running on port 44 here. So if you're on campus, and I'll make it available, but as you can see, those of you who have been here for a while would remember that this is your course portal. I am going to make it available today or tomorrow, so you will have access to it. Right. But here is a bit of news for you guys. I am not going to further develop this portal anymore, because we have a new course portal on which we'll run the bootcamp, and I will migrate content from this to that. The reason is, this portal is running on a software that is more than 6 years old, and it is nearly impossible to upgrade to the latest one. So now if you go to supportvectors.ai or supportvectors.io, you will notice that there is a new portal that has come up. It is this. The web page at this moment is very primitive. The home page, it has to be fixed. But if you go to the courses, you'll notice that I'm gradually bringing the new course material here. LLM Projects Bootcamp is your main course portal. It looks like this. Are you folks seeing my screen? And it will have a lot of activities. It will have a lot of resources, references to textbook, all the papers that we studied in the neural architecture. It will have that it will also contain links to the videos to those papers, of our paper reading. All of those videos will be properly archived here. As you can see, these things are coming up. We have, in this bootcamp, you will actually have the support of about 8 people from the teaching side. It will be myself, Chanda, Harini, Kate, Athira will be there, and some people will be in sort of a dual role. Athira Kashish will be in sort of a dual role, helping out, both being students and helping out. There will also be another couple of people. Kyle, many of you are familiar with and have engaged with. She'll be here, and there is another person, Riaz. So he'll also be there. So we'll have a total teaching staff of 8 people assisting you. Please do that. At the same time, on this course portal, by the way, you can log into that. I just have to add you as a user. You will notice that I've started posting quizzes. I would strongly suggest that by today evening, when all the quizzes are online, please take the quizzes to review and get ready for the bootcamp. Right? These are basic exercises. They will get you started. Right? And if you can't answer, like if you get 0 out of 25 on the quiz, it means that you are in a bit of trouble, brush up. But if you're getting something like 50% of the questions right, you're doing pretty good. Remember, the goal is not to achieve perfection, but the goal is to get a small reality check on whether you're doing the things right or not. Right? So this is it. And you will notice that the first project is your first project is to create a vector database. I'm about to release the specs for the vector database today itself. Right? It is a simple one. Now remember, the projects will build on each other. So you cannot say that I'm going to skip this week's project, I'll start with next week's project. You cannot do next week's project till you have done this week's project. So this is something, a very important point, guys. It is sequential. We'll start simply. We will first start by creating our own vector database, right? Just like ChromaDB, you will create it. Now, when I say create a database, and this is a point I want to emphasize, guys, this is not a POC world, right? In the world of AI today, it is extraordinarily easy to do a POC. In fact, it's not even worth it. You can find the code just by reading a Medium article, or reading a GitHub page, or reading a Hugging Face documentation. Or ChatGPT will generate your prototype code. Code Llama will do that. But the point is to create something that is production ready. We have invested, if you come here, you will notice that we have invested, Support Vectors has, for this bootcamp, invested many times whatever tuition it will get from this bootcamp. We have kept the tuition really low. Trust me, it is very low compared to the price of the hardware. There is close to $300,000 to $400,000 worth of hardware. I have to sit and do accounting. That is at this moment now sitting in the data center room. Everything is dedicated to this particular bootcamp, right? We have spared no expense. The most high grade gauge 22 or 21 internet cabling is connecting each of fiber cabling is, and copper wires is connecting each of the rooms that you will have for your projects to the data center room. These are 40 gigabit per second bandwidth cables, heavyweight cables. Let's just say that just the cabling itself is worth a ton. And I'm not kidding. I literally mean it. 1 ton of high-grade cabling is now wiring the building. They're obviously, each one of you will get your own dedicated Dell PowerEdge like a server with a close to 100 cores. You have all the hardware and resources ready. The purpose is not to do POCs. The purpose is to build something real. My hope is that you guys will take these projects, and some of you at least will build startups around it of your own, right? If you do choose to go, so think of it as an incubator. If you do your own startup, you can make your presentations here, your VC pitches here. Right? Now, one more thing I want to emphasize. You will have to sign an intellectual property confidentiality clause, which means that whatever you do here is fine. It is yours to keep. That's the best part. Unlike incubators, which take a percentage or own your IP, we don't own your IP. It is yours, your team's. But the only confidentiality clause we require is you respect the IP and confidentiality of other teams. What will happen is, as your teams move forward, a lot of you will do really good work on which you would want to do startups. As you want to do startups, you'll worry, what if somebody steals those ideas or sees it and so forth? So the first thing you'll do is you'll sign a legal contract saying you will respect the confidentiality and IP protection of other teams. And your team can do whatever it wants with its IP. You will build something production grade. That is one aspect. The second aspect is, and you can go, we have connections with investors. If you want, we can connect you to venture capitalists and angel investors. In the final day of the boot camp, we are likely to invite some of them so that you make presentation of your projects. If you do a good project, if and only if you guys do a good project, you'll get to present it to those VCs if you are interested, those angel investors if you're interested. That is part number one. The second part is, we are now, Support Vectors is now a full recruiting agency. What it means is, those of you who are thinking of changing your jobs or getting a new job or whatever, we will give you full support in getting a high quality job. Not one of those lowball offers, but a good job. In other words, you will have access to the full power of a recruiting team that has close to 25 years of recruiting experience, because we are partnered with such a team. You'll do that, right? And our goal will, of course, be to get you the best job possible that you can get. And the advantage of doing that would be that we will write a strong endorsement of you. We'll stand behind you. Just sending your resume somewhere is one thing, but having somebody vouch for it and write a strong recommendation that we absolutely know this person is good makes a lot of difference. And of course, wherever you go, if you do a good project, you don't have to go through this. Wherever you go, whenever you apply for a job, you will have a strong recommendation, a fair recommendation. Whatever work you did will stand as evidence behind it. The third thing is that our creative studio is live, which means that as you do your projects, we will help you write blogs and articles on Medium and YouTube videos of your work so that you get visibility. And it's a fun thing. So guys, treat it as a full product development exercise. You'll build a product, you will market it, you'll set out there, right? So you will be in an entrepreneurial mode. You will behave as though you are doing a startup of your own. And what we are going to give you in Support Vectors is full backing. Startups don't have access to this kind of hardware unless they get funded, in which case they get diluted. Imagine a startup where there is no dilution. You get access to state-of-the-art hardware, you get free food, and you get to walk away with your IP.
Sir, Sukhpal here.
Yeah, go ahead, Sapal.
So yeah, I wanted to add a few things here. So first of all, you mentioned videos and stuff. So I will take charge of that. I will help them create professional quality video, and if they have any doubt, they can go on my website and check.
Yes.
Okay. And the other thing is, please put my name in as a TA. I will, whatever I know with that knowledge, help them jumpstart with their environment or whatever. Quickly set up if they want Docker, or they want a remote machine, or they want local machine. I can help them out with that. And so they can ping me anytime, and then we can talk. Anybody needs any help setting up an environment, I can help them with that. Depending on their, I can see what hardware they have. So if they want to get the remote access and like that.
Yes. Hey, Sukhpal, thanks for saying that. Oh, by the way, these are two great points. Sukhpal runs a very successful videography company. His team has made videos for, it's a movie studio. Some of the successful songs and movie with well-known actors and actresses their videography has been, Sukhpal has done the videography for them, made those videos. So obviously you're talking about very high caliber talent here. The other thing is the hardware aspect of it. Guys, if you don't have a good machine to do this projects on, first of all, you'll have machines here, but and you will have access to those machines. But it is always good to have some hardware local under your desk at home. Support vectors will help you get those hardware. In fact, Sukhpal is the person who will build you those hardware. Some of those hardwares will be here available for those of you who are interested for purchase on day one itself, day one of the workshop. But I would suggest that if you need hardware, instead of going to the likes of Dells and whatnot and wasting your money there, here you can get those hardwares at the price of the components, whatever this component, with a little very tiny bit of markup. Sukhpal makes those hardwares.
So yeah, whatever they have, they don't really necessarily spend money or whatever existing hardware they have, computer or whatever. If they need help setting it up,
yeah,
I am available. We can help them out. They can put their server in garage and we can put the thing out. Like Abhijit is remote accessing. I am remote accessing my own server. Patrick is good. So
yes,
they can be anywhere in the world and they can still code on their RTX or whatever graphic card they have.
yes, excellent. Nice. So guys, that is another facility. Lastly, obviously, when you come for the workshop, guys, come with the mindset that you are in a startup, right? Long hours, creative activity. I will give you guys the solution to those projects, but your expectation shouldn't be that solution is coming, so why work hard? My hope is that you will come up with solutions or products which are far better than the reference solutions that I'll hand out at the end of it. And I may choose to hand it out not at the end of every week, but to hand it out at the end of the entire bootcamp. So you'll be handicapped. You can't rely on the solutions coming right away. I may choose to give it out in December. Now, even though the bootcamp is 12 Saturdays, one last month is there for you to finish your projects. Most of you will have remainder pieces to present, to polish it up before you show it to others. So December, you'll still have access to the hardware. So the bootcamp is 3 months, but access to hardware is 4 months. Right? We hope to finish it all before, obviously, the holiday season starts in December. So I'll be there. You will find that you are here from 10 a.m. till whenever you can afford to be here. Some people will leave at 6. Some people will stay up till midnight. But plan to be here till at least 6 p.m. More likely, you will have, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner will all be served. Right? When you are here, you can expect all of that. The food will be pretty much the same that you are used to every time. So you'll have to make do with that. And what else is there? So that is that. The first project will come through right away, hopefully by today, tomorrow. By this, let's say that by end of this weekend, the project will be here. Now, one thing, on the new portal, unfortunately, your old logins won't work. I haven't yet connected it to Google. It will take me a little bit of time to get all of those things going. See, this learning portal, LMS development takes a long, long time. So please be a bit forgiving. By the time the bootcamp starts, hopefully everything will be in place, but things are moving a bit slow because it's a lot of work. The very fact that this is up through all those complicated firewalls and you're seeing it online itself is an achievement at this moment. But yes, get started with that. That is all I have to say. I will give you a list of paper readings or references to brush up on before the bootcamp starts. So with that, I'll take some final questions before we start.
The Google Colab also.
Oh yes, one big thing that Praveen mentioned, a very useful resource. Google Colab has now announced that there is a tier that you can get to. There's a free tier in Google Colab. There is a tier that is $10 a month, and now they have announced a tier that's $50 a month. With the $50 a month tier, you actually get access to A100s. Right. It's great for fine-tuning some of the models. In fact, it is possible that the first couple of projects you guys can do literally on using Google Colab, the higher tier. Some of you may consider using that as opposed to, I mean, if your laptop is not able to take that load. Let's see if it works out for you. That is it. So anyway, guys, so those are the hardware and the software aspects of it. One thing, guys, I must say, take the quizzes and the assignments very seriously. Yeah. The projects you do as a team, you will have a room. And by the way, when you are here, this place will be secured. So some of you may choose to leave your little desktops or laptops here, go out for lunch, for walks, etc., or just leave it here for the whole week. It is perfectly fine. You can keep coming and going throughout the week, not just the weekend, but weekends are special. Sunday is optional, right? I will be certainly here on Sunday, but if you finish your project on Saturday itself, you don't have to be here on Sunday. I don't quite expect that you'll really finish your projects on Saturday. What will happen is it will take you the whole week, 5 people a whole week to do it, right? Because each project is a product and you're doing the full cycle of product development, right? So that is that. There is a facility of bring your own project. What couple of the projects are whatever the team choose to do. They may choose to, and that expresses their creativity. Right? We have kept a couple of projects in the end for that, whatever you want. So any questions about the projects, guys, before we move on to the presentation from Shrutik?
I do. Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I think you mentioned POC versus product development. I know this is a deep question, but a lot of engineers have this question in several companies. And can you delineate the differences? You know, if it were a spreadsheet, like what's in POC and what's in product development, just so we can wrap our heads around it.
Yeah, I'll give you a simple example. Let's take an example from chemistry. See, when let's say that you're in the lab and you just discovered a new compound that you believe will make better car tires, right? A new form of rubber chemistry or something. And you have done a POC. You have showed that under certain load and stress conditions, it's doing well, right? Convincingly well. That is a POC. To now build a vehicle tire manufacturing setup, the whole pipeline with vast amounts of chemicals and watts and dryers and everything, and the temperature, high temperature and pressure injection systems, right? That is going to production. So the one is an innovation center, the other is manufacturing reliably at scale. So in software, the way it works out is you write some code, you show that, yeah, the model is giving good inference. That is one thing. But what you will see in the project description is very strict performance benchmarks. It will say, yeah. So what you'll have to do is it will say that there is a unit test that will throw close to 100 requests a minute at you. We'll start with a soft target, 100 requests, 1,000 requests a minute. Inferences. Can you handle 1,000 inferences a minute? If your application cannot do that, then it is not done yet. So now you have to worry because you know that your GPU has limited memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then how do you push through 1,000 inferences when a single inference is using up most of the memory in the GPU? So you'll have to worry about batching. What is a reasonable batch size it can do, right? How do you fill the batch? How do you pipeline it? How do you make sure that you never feed more requests through the GPU, inferences to the GPU than the GPU can handle without having an out of memory error? Those are production issues. The other is, how do you do a microservices implementation? Where is who is receiving the request, right? And when the request comes, who is doing the inference? For example, it would not be okay to say my inference, my UI, inference server, and UI are all sandwiched together into a streamlet. That is not production. Right? So that's the gap between POC and production. You'll have to have a UI, you'll have to have a scaled out microservices layer. And then all of those requests will get to be properly pipelined to an inference endpoint, which doesn't throw out of memory errors. For example, your first is a vector database. I will give you data that will be close to a terabyte of data. We'll start small. A terabyte is nothing because this data center, you'll see, will have close to 200 terabytes of space. But we'll start with 1 terabyte, which means that you have to set up a database system that can handle 1 terabyte of data, and that is able to create. So when you create a vector database, you will not go and just download Chroma and say, okay, Chroma DB, here it is, here I come, right? That will be 5 lines of code.
Yeah,
What you
Chroma DB. Sorry, that's probably another discussion, but yeah, sorry, please proceed. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, the idea is to create something which hopefully is better than Chroma DB.
Or a line change.
Right? All right. Yes. So you'll have to create everything from scratch, as in first principles. It is basically the practical implementation of everything you learned in the NLP with transformers and the neural architectures course. You will have to implement it, right? You will have to worry about these aspects, because it is when you write all of that, when you think through all of that, that you develop the ability or the muscles to go ahead and do a successful startup on your own. See, guys, my goal is to make you successful. The outcome that I'm looking forward to is after this bootcamp, somewhere around early next year, I'll hear that you guys have walked away with 10, 20, 30, $40 million of funding. And you have a brand name and a company that people are talking about on the internet.
So
That is the end goal I'm shooting for.
Dr. Kumar, I have a follow-up question. What you speak about POC versus product, I mean, it seems very trivial and obvious to you, but it's not trivial and obvious to a lot of people. Just letting you know that, you probably have more information and experience than more people in the field. So if there's a blog post, I think that could be something that support vectors could share. But if this is detailed in depth, it needs to be outlined for people who, okay, here's a POC and this is what production looks like, because usually people put the production in the hands of product managers or program managers or whatever their name is in different companies. But this is an ongoing debate and discussion in companies. So if it seems like you're very clear and methodical about it, so if there is something that you could write up that we could
yes, it will.
really
It will.
understand.
Shalini,
Thank you.
you will see there is a methodical process we'll do. You will do something called a UI design sprint, the product design sprint, followed by an architecture sprint. And those sprints will be very short, they'll be not a week long. Typically, these things are a week long in companies. But because we are on a very compacted time frame, you'll see that your time here on Saturday from 10 a.m. till midnight is very, very structured. You will do a design sprint, design how your interface will look. You will do an architecture sprint. You will come up and propose an architecture, the pros and cons of it. You will do a sort of an AI model sprint in which you will be very clear in articulating your AI architecture, the neural architecture, and which model you'll use, which you'll fine tune, why you want to do that, everything. So these will, each of them, be 2.5 to 3 hour exercises, very structured exercises. So one of the things you will get grounding on is the process. In fact, one of the big takeaways from this project will be, this bootcamp would be, what is a structured way of doing an end-to-end startup, AI startup? You will get a huge grounding on that, on every aspect of that. It's good that you brought that up, Shalini. In fact, that is the value proposition of this bootcamp. Otherwise, what's the difference between this bootcamp and reading a few Medium articles?
Yeah, I don't really read Medium articles. Okay, so I'll leave that to the side, but thank you for being so precise, because that was my question, and this is a question among tech companies that received several $1 million of funding. So So
That's right.
it's,
Shalini, at this moment, people undervalue the importance of a good architect. What's happening in software companies is if you are a principal engineer, soon you get promoted to an architect. Architecture, really good quality architecture makes or breaks companies. Right? And just as I'm very passionate about AI, machine learning, I'm very passionate about architecture and design patterns and things like that. I've sort of had the privilege and honor of building large-scale enterprise architectures. And I believe I've always regretted how undervalued good architecture is, or rigorous training in architecture is. It's really, really underappreciated. Most people have not a single person who really knows what architecture is. It's just developers promoted to architecture roles. And people say that, hey, whatever works is good architecture. Truth to that, but there's an alternative way of looking at it, designing and creating elegant architectures. And I hope that as I enter now, perhaps the last 2 decades of my career, I would like to pass on whatever little I know, or I have learned, or my perspective, to all of you in this space.
well, you have somebody very strong, Maushmi. I've spoken to her over several hours regarding her experience and what she's done. And I think, she might be the next person you pass your baton to. She seems very strong. She seems very curious and she's very kind. So I think you do have somebody in your corner who is, I'm happy with this boot camp. Yeah.
Shalini, you too will become good at it. Trust me, these things are all learnable skills. And oh yes, by the way, I noticed that she is in your team. So you have a good architect in your team.
Yeah, trust me. She's very like thoughtful and methodical. Like there's nothing that get past her. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, in this batch, in this cohort, she's my earliest student. She joined my class. The first workshop she did, a course she did, was, I believe, in 2000 or 2001 at UC Berkeley, when I was teaching there. She was a student there at that time. So
I believe it. She's very revolutionary. That's, if I had one word for Maushmi, it's revolutionary. She's so revolutionary.
I agree with that. She was the brightest student in that batch. In 2001 or 2000, when I taught at UC Berkeley, she was certainly the brightest student in the class. So obviously, so now I expect even greater things from your team.
Okay.
I expect great expectations now. Great. So, all right, guys, I'll wrap up with that. Shutik is ready?
Yeah, he's on his, he's being here in a couple of minutes.
Couple of minutes. So guys, let's take a little break. How about we take a 10-minute break? I'll pause the recording, or rather we'll end this recording. And when Shutik is here, we'll start a new recording. All right, guys. Any other questions on the project before we start? Guys, trust me, the more energy and drive and initiative you bring to the project, the more you'll get out of it. This can be, I know at the risk of sounding hyperbolic or exaggerated or marketing fluff, I would still say it. When I say from 30 years of educational experience, you take this seriously, you will find that this is transformative point in your career. Right? So do please put in your best in this bootcamp.